Neil, I've got you here today to tell us about the best investment ever. That's
Yes.
that's quite a bold statement. Can you
Yes,
tell us more?
The best return on investment ever.
All right, so I'm Warren Horek from Organic Growth, and this is Neil from Organic, and today I've got him here to interview him to find out more about this phenomenal investment.
Yes, well, I'm here to tell the story. I phoned Warren earlier, and I said to him, I've got an anniversary. I've got something's happened. He said, what is that? And I said, well, my very first buy-to-let investment property was paid off last month. Look at this. I drew my statement. I don't know if you can see this. Look at the top there. Oh, it's a bit hard to see. There
There it is. Okay, I can see it.
naught?
There it is. Naught.
That's my balance
Oh,
as
my
at
goodness, phenomenal.
the 16th of February. That's a month ago. So
Tell us the whole story. How did it happen? How did you get? I mean,
Okay,
it's now
yes.
paid off. How did it get paid off?
yes,
Everything.
I've got some evidence here. So if you'll excuse me, I'll bring out my evidence because I went back to have a look, and I was amazed. I was
That's
amazed
amazing.
at
That's
what I
amazing.
felt because you forget things that it goes past. Because 21 years ago, excuse me, I had no property. I had no pension fund.
Sure.
I had no plans. So basically, I realized that if I carry on doing what I'm doing now, I'm going to end up retiring poor
Sure.
or not ever retiring.
Yeah.
You see these 70, 80-year-old people still working away. And that was me. I saw my future. I thought, wow, if I don't make a change, a fundamental change, I'm going to stay poor. I was in a sort of the mode of earning a salary. I had a single income and earning a salary every month. So the timing was right. I saw I needed to do something now.
Yes.
I was 38 at the time. I got to do something now. I needed to invest, but I had a problem.
So what year was this again?
This is year 2001.
2001. Okay, we're going
Okay.
back
Yeah, 2001. So I had a problem.
21 years.
I was ready to invest, but I had no money. I had just come through a very, very tough time.
But look here, you know what? There must be a lot of people watching this now thinking, I'm in the
Yes,
same position.
yes.
Okay, so you had no
think-
money.
You think, I have to invest, I've got to do something. But because I'd been spending years waiting for the ship to come in,
Yeah, so you're
Everyone's
going to
waiting
get
for the
this
ship,
huge amount of
gonna win
money
a lotto
coming
or
in. Yeah.
something's going to happen. But nothing. There was nothing. No job with a big pension scheme. Nothing. There's no actual plan. Just a wish and a hope. So I had no money.
Sure.
It was the time to do it, and I had to multiply. I had to multiply wealth. I had to more than multiply. I wasn't ready. I wasn't in a place where I could add 10% every year to an investment
Yeah.
because that wouldn't have cut it. It wouldn't have got me to the place of being able to retire one day.
Yeah.
So with all this in mind, I came to the conclusion that I needed to buy a townhouse. And I'd been in property for 14 odd years, in commercial property. I was a commercial property broker. So I understood property, I understood the lease, I understood
Okay.
the law. But I didn't know much about the residential property market.
Okay.
So I did my research the best I could. I found that most estate agents out there were either sales agents or rental agents. So it was very hard to get the information, what's the right price and what's the right rental.
Okay.
Because an agent will basically tell you what he thinks you want to hear. Because he just wants to sell that property in front of him.
Okay.
So these are all the lessons I learned in the process. But I went out and I bought a townhouse, a 3-bedroom townhouse in Veltervreden Park. And something which actually, I've got the offer to purchase here. And look at this. I was a bit of a negotiator. Just look at this. Hang on, where's the? It's hard to see the screen. There we go. Look at all the scratching out and the other conditions and so on.
She's there.
But look at the date, Warren. I bought this property on the 5th of October 2001. Now that is less than 4 weeks after 9/11.
Sure.
Now
Just show them the date.
there's the date.
No, okay,
There's the date.
Okay.
And then you see where my finger is. 5th of October 2001. Now
How many weeks?
It was on the 11th of October. It would have been 1 month after 9/11.
Okay. 1 month after 9/11. For those who don't know 9/11, that's the Twin Towers going down America. The whole world was going to war against terrorists. It wasn't, let's say, the right time.
Oh, there was blood in the
right
streets.
time
There was
to buy property, and you go and buy property. Well, I mean,
Yeah, well, you see, I've been tutored by some very rich Jewish
Yeah.
property developers.
What did they say?
And they had these sayings that used to really intrigue me. Like they used to say, when there's blood in the streets, buy property. And here there was actual blood in the streets.
Those guys had made, obviously,
And
money.
I remember driving, I remember that moment. We all remember that moment when the Twin Towers came down.
Yeah.
And I was driving along and I thought, the giant has been awoken from its slumber. That's what I thought. I thought, a giant has been awoken. And did it awake. I tell you, we thought America was going to go to war with everyone. We didn't know who. At that point, it was busy happening. In fact, when I had this thought, only one tower had come down.
Sure.
Because the one tower came down when I was at work and the other one came down by the time I got home.
Oh, wow.
So I was right in the moment and I knew, hang on, this is terror and America is not going to take us lying down. The world is going to war. I really thought the world was going to war, and lots of people did think so. But my training kicked in. So I was thinking opportunities with the opportunities. But this is all done to the backdrop of I knew I had to do something now.
Okay.
And unfortunately, my now didn't take into account 9/11.
Sure.
But what it did do is it helped me get a really good price on my property. You see, because when there's blood in the streets, people panic. And what you forget is that 10 years later, the bricks are still there.
Sure.
You know, there's drama, all kinds of... Right now,
Yes,
we are about 6 weeks into the Ukraine war, Russia-Ukraine war.
Yeah.
We can see old Putin with his finger on the red button any minute.
I mean, we're talking about, I think that's the closest we've ever been to nuclear war.
Yeah, it's worse than the Cuban crisis.
Yeah.
So we're right at that point now, and there are people panicking. So my attitude is, well, if it gets far worse, who cares?
Yeah.
You know, if you buy a property now and you owe the bank all this money and it really goes to pot,
Yeah.
like a bomb lands, well, who cares?
Well, they've taken the risk.
But if it doesn't land,
And then you sit
then
in.
you're well put.
Yeah.
So you might as well do. So that is my thinking. I
So
don't think
basically
that's
it's
the
like-
most sound thinking in the world, but that's my thinking.
But it's paid off now.
It's really
Literally paid off.
It is paid off. So let me get into some details. You know, I made this very bold statement to Warren when I said to him, "This is the best investment ever," and he said, "Oh, geez, that's a bit much." Will you come on camera and tell the story? I said, "Of course." And you know, what is better than an infinite return?
Yeah.
In fact, let me show you the return on investment. So the return on investment, I'll just do the capital return on investment. At the moment, this property is worth about 650 or 700,000. I'll say 650, shall I?
Yeah.
Keep it conservative. And then you divide, the return on investment is what you get back divided by what you put in.
Yeah.
So if I divide that by 0,
He put 0 in, and he got 650,000 rand asset right now paid off. It's his. He's got 650. I mean,
yeah, the property is worth 650,000.
Yeah.
I owe nothing on it, as you saw.
Yeah.
So it's all mine now. The property is now
and
completely
how
mine.
much did you pay? This is an
I
important
paid naught. So
You paid what?
naught.
0. He put in no money. How did you manage to do that? Just explain that.
I get there. I just want to do the sum first.
What's the sum?
Because we made
What's
this
your
bold-
return? This is the bold statement now.
The
Okay.
bold statement is 650,000 rand divided by naught equals error. I don't know if you can see that there. The computer says
There,
the
there,
software-
E. There's an E.
the error.
Error.
Because
So
you can't divide by naught.
Yeah.
So that means, what that means, and I've got an engineering background, so I understand these things, and that means your return on investment is infinite.
Yeah.
That means nothing can be greater. So
Yeah.
other things can match you. There are other infinite investments, but nothing can be better than infinite.
Sure.
So it's quite a bold statement. I've had this property for 21 years.
Yeah.
From day one,
Yes.
it was paying me money.
Sure.
Sorry, no, I lie. About day 5.
Okay.
This was actually, I was quite.
So from day
you might
5,
think
you
I
were
was
starting to
reckless.
make money.
When I bought the property, it said here, I bought this on the 5th of October, and it said I was taking occupation on the 1st of November,
Sure.
and I'd pay an occupational rental. So look at the date there, 5th of October. So here's my lease. I actually found my very first lease. It was quite a find. I went scratching this morning. Josephine Mudenda was my tenant. Hello, Josephine, if you're watching this. And if you look here, my rental was 2,200 plus 450, so it was 2,650.
It's a two bedroom.
3 bedroom.
Three bedroom.
Yeah. But look, it was signed on the 10th. So I signed this lease 5 days after I bought the property.
Sure.
And the occupation date was 5 days after that. So I bought the property, 5 days later I signed a lease, 5 days later my tenant moved in.
Sure.
And from day one, what the tenant paid was more than all my costs,
Including the levies.
including my levies, including the rates. In fact, the first few months while I was waiting for transfer, my occupational rental was only about 1,000 rand.
Oh, wow.
But I was getting 2,600 a month in.
So from day one, you were cash flow positive?
No, well, I had the deposit, which was more than a month's rental. And then every month for about 3 or 4 months, I was making about 1,000 rand a month extra between. The tenant was paying me about 1,000 rand more than my occupational rental.
Wow, amazing. 1,000,
I forget the exact details, but about 1,000 odd. And then finally, when I took transfer, for that month, I got the full rental, but you only pay your first bond repayment at the end of the month.
Sure.
So I end up getting a bonus in about my third month of a whole month rental income without any expense.
Okay.
And then when you look at it all together, I remember having about 10,000 rand in my hands.
Sure.
So I bought a property. I remember saying to my wife, we've just bought a property, but I've got 10,000 rand.
And you didn't put anything in?
But I thought this was called an investment. So you know what I said to her? I said, should we do it again? So we did. And then we did it again. And again. And again. And that's where I got my start. And this particular property is really, it was in Weltevreden Park, which is Afrikaans for contented. And I really have been very, very contented with this investment.
Amazing.
It's been 21 years. And I remember about 2 months of that time with it being vacant.
Okay.
I had one problem with a bad tenant where it was actually hijacked by some foreigners, but that took me 2 days to get rid of them actually. And then I had to refurbish my property. I spent about 20,000 rand on it.
Yeah.
And since then it's been let 100% of the time.
Sure.
So this property now is paying me about 5,000 rand a month after all my costs.
Okay.
But that gives me a problem.
Sure.
And do you know what my problem is?
No.
Tax. I'm earning income.
Okay. So he's getting.
So I've got a tax problem now on this. This is just one property. So what happens now is that I'm paying tax on that full 5,000 rand.
Sure.
So what's the right thing to do now? This is my next step. Is to go and borrow, because that's an asset.
Yes.
So you go and borrow against that asset.
Yeah.
And use that money. So I can go and say borrow 500,000 rand, and when I get it out tax free because I'm borrowing.
Sure. Amazing.
And then the interest on my borrowings goes against my income, so I can get it back to pretty much cash flow neutral.
Yeah.
So I won't be paying tax on the property, and I'm going to ending up with like 500,000 rand.
Sure.
So which I can go and use to buy another property or buy some Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Or buy a new car.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what property does is it unleashes capital.
Sure.
Because you're growing capital, and over a period of time,
Sure.
I actually can't get bored with telling the story of how what property investment is you literally transferring with this wealth into your name. It takes about 20 years to get it fully done, because over this 20 years, I was earning income. I was earning income from day one. In fact, from day, I bought the property on the 10th, and I was earning income by the 15th. So 10 days after I bought this property, I was already cash flow positive, and I've been cash flow positive all the time. So actually, my calculation wasn't accurate, because I only took the value of the property. I didn't take the rental income for the period.
Oh my word.
And what I also did...
Because that's that's hundreds of thousands.
What I also did with this property, if you look here, you'll see...
So it's a lot more than the property.
I bought the property for 140,000.
Yeah.
And as you can see, my last bond repayment was 5,000. That doesn't make sense.
No, yeah.
That's because, about 10 years ago, I borrowed 250,000 rand out of this property as a second bond, and I used it to buy a toy.
Okay.
Remember that aeroplane we used to go flying? So this property's been, I'm Weltevreden with this investment, and it gave me the start. So after this, I bought lots of properties, as many as the bank would let me have.
Yeah.
And then I ended up buying an estate agency.
But what you haven't worked out as well in his actual return on investment is this. On top of that, so he's got the property, 650,000. He's got his rental. How much is the rental for like 20 years? I mean, hundreds of thousands.
Lots.
Okay, hundreds of thousands. Okay. I'm talking about the excess over and above his expenses increased every year as the rates, let's say the rental went up.
Yeah, the rental went up faster than the costs.
Yeah. So basically, he's got hundreds of thousands, which let's say now you're 650. Let's say it's $1 million now. But
Plus the airplane.
Okay.
With my share of the airplane.
All right, but what about the other properties now you could buy out of that extra money?
Yes, well now it's completely exponential because
now that's part of the return.
Yes, because
that's like the original seed.
Yes, it's like a tree that keeps that provides fruit.
It just keeps giving.
That gives you say an avocado pear tree. We've used that a lot. So you plant a seed, and you get a tree. And now it's bearing fruit, and that fruit's got fruit for me to eat. That's my cash flow.
Yeah.
But it's got seed for the next.
So you can plant a whole forest or a whole plantation.
You can it just grows and grows and grows. It's called exponential growth.
No, this is amazing. And so the question is, why buy now? Why should people buy now? Because I mean, you've given the example. Maybe I should answer that bit as well. At this time when he went to do all this with no money, he said to me, he told me, I knew the story.
We were friends at the time.
Yeah, at the time, he told me what he was doing. And I was involved in another company, and we were doing very well there. And he's saying he's going into I said, good for you, Neil.
I said, come on, Warren, do it.
And
he said,
no.
Too much hassle.
And learn from my mistake. I mean, I don't know how many, this must have cost me multiple millions. Okay, yeah. Is that I said to Neil, I said, you know what, I know property is good. I just don't want tenants phoning me at 2 a.m. with a geyser burst. And so my main problem was tenants giving an issue because I didn't want to have the tenants. But he was out of the property game, so he didn't have a problem at all. Eventually he bought Targa.
Well, that's why I bought the estate agency.
Yeah, to take care of his property portfolio. And so what happens is, but we have got a solution to that problem. But I just wanted to say the best time to buy, I would say, is when the property is at the right price. You get the best return on investment. You can work it out. But do not buy because things are going bad around the world. And that's the mistake. I would say the best time to buy is when no one else wants to buy.
Yes. No, that's where there's blood in the streets.
It's like even with Bitcoin. If you wanted to get into, say, Bitcoin or crypto, the best time to buy is when it's actually on its lowest.
When it's don't
crashing. Buy when it's going up, because you're going to try and outrun the bulls. All you got to do is make sure you buy at the bottom and then sell at the top. Yeah. But when's the best time to buy property? When everyone else is pulling out.
Yes.
Then you buy property, unless, of course, there's certain laws or things like that happening. But what I can say is that you don't have much risk because the bank gave him a 110% bond.
Yes. So
110% bond.
I think maybe it's time to get... It's not fair to tell a story like this without giving you a solution.
Yeah, okay. Well, the question would be, okay, tell everyone now, step by step, how they can do this now.
Now, in the current market.
Yeah. How would you go about doing it now?
Firstly, I've got a sort of a mantra. I call them the 5 steps.
5 steps.
You need to have the right type of property.
Yeah.
You got to pay the right price.
Yep.
You got to buy it in the right place. You got to get your location right.
Yep.
You got to plan your portfolio correctly, and then you have to manage your property. So those five steps you have to include. And over and over again, when I coach people, I have people come and sit in front of me for property coaching, and it's the number of times they say, I've already got 3 properties. And I say, good for you. And I know it's coming, because when I unpack the 5 steps and really unpack them, they normally say, oh dear. And their smile just goes like this, and they realize they've made this mistake, that mistake, and that mistake, and maybe this one they didn't do too badly. So I've noticed that people make the mistakes. They are fundamental mistakes. They buy the wrong type of property. They buy in the wrong place.
So these are the dangers.
And they pay the wrong price.
Okay, so these are the dangers of doing it yourself.
These are the dangers of doing it yourself. Now, you can do it yourself.
Okay.
But it takes years and years of experience and knowledge of the property industry, how property works. You've got to know the laws. Remember our friend who had a tenant who didn't pay rental, and he went and broke in.
Oh, yeah.
He said, that's my place. Before he knew it, he had the police arresting the landlord. So you've got to know the rules.
There are laws and there are rules, and you get caught up with that. So if you don't have, I've watched Neil, and that's, most probably part of the reason is I didn't want to get involved with tenants because I didn't know what I was doing. Neil was already out of the property game, so he had an advantage over me, knowing about leases, tenants, and all that kind of stuff, and he wasn't worried about dealing with all those problems. So what happens is we've seen many people, and you might know someone, you might even be someone that's gone in and got burnt because you've maybe missed 3 of the points.
Or even one of them.
One point can cost you $1 million.
You can never get the property for less than you paid for it. They used to say that to me. I said, what? It's obvious, but it's true. Once you paid that purchase price, you can never get it for less than that.
Yeah, you're stuck with that price.
And if you pay above market price because you believe the estate agent, you need to know how to do your homework.
So what happens is, along this path, we started organic growth years ago, and basically organic growth was there, and it is here to help people. So, so for those that don't want to go through years and actually risk losing money, because there is a risk of investing. And that's where you hear all these nightmare stories. Don't invest in property because they invested in the wrong location, and bought at the wrong price, and then they got the wrong tenants. And those three will just take you out, okay? And then they start selling and they say property is useless. Now, what the good part about these people that have got bad stories is it gives you room to buy, because if everyone wanted to buy, you wouldn't be able to afford to buy. And that's why you can get in now. And so that's how Neil managed to get a property for free. Okay? Yes. He is getting properties for free, basically for free. That property he got for free. All right, you can't get a better investment. This is way beyond Bitcoin. This is way beyond anything else. If you can get a property where the bank is giving you the money, loaning you the money, and I want to make...
the tenant's paying the bank back.
I want to make a clear point, a very important point. If you go to the bank today and say, I want a loan to buy Bitcoin, Google, Gold. Microsoft, Gold, any blue chip company, and you say, I want a loan, okay? They will not give you a loan to buy shares, okay? Unless, of course, you've got a house. And they'll use the house as collateral. Yeah. But if you don't have a house or assets, they're not going to give you a loan. And so buy-to-let investment is the only investment that the bank will actually give you money based on the asset that you're buying, because they are so confident in the market that they're prepared to give you 90, 95, 100, and 104%.
Do you know there's actually a law. There's actually a law that says you cannot buy a company and use that company as your asset as collateral.
Yes.
But you can do it with property.
Yeah, that's actually, there's a law like that. Yeah. You can't buy a company and use that as collateral. So what is amazing about this is the only investment you can get that you would actually get the bank to sponsor you. And this is not about putting you don't put your cash in. This is important. Let the bank put the money in. You use your cash to do other things. You can actually most probably buy a couple if you have to put a deposit. But Neil was telling me earlier that even today, if you're a first-time homeowner, you can get 100?
Yes, let me unpack it for you.
Yeah.
Today, if you've never bought a property before, you can get what's called a first-time home loan.
Yes.
And what a first-time home loan is they lend you 104% of the purchase price of the property.
Sure.
So the 4% is your transfer costs. You've got to pay attorneys and raising costs. So if you buy a property today, and it's your first time, your first property, you apply for a first-time home loan.
Yeah.
Then that home loan will pay for the property and your costs. Then all we have to do is balance the rental. Now, if you're the DIY kind, like the person who fixes his own car, like I was DIY. I could do it 100% free because I didn't have to pay an agent's fees. I didn't have to pay for property management fees. So if you got the skills and the time and the energy to manage the property yourself, you can buy property today for free. The market is back in that position. It hasn't been there for a while, but it's back in that place now where the interest rates and the prices and the rentals, this sort of combination deal. It's like juggling. But we're now at that point again where if you're doing this yourself, you can buy it 100% free. You can buy properties for free.
Okay, so now for those that, at the end of the day, it doesn't get better than free, okay, unless they're paying you to take it. So what happens now is, let's say those that want to now you to do it. And because with organic growth, we've got a system where we can help you to do this and take all the pain and everything, go through those 5 steps with you. Neil coaches you, you go through the process, you take out the risk and you get the right investment, and then obviously Neil would actually, his company would manage the property for you. But now when you go through this, what would their investment need to be? How much would they need to put in now as opposed to zero?
Okay.
Because that's always the question people ask me. Say, how much do I have to put in?
Well, before I start, just up here somewhere, I'll put a link to Property in the Box.
Yeah,
in organic growth, we call it Property in the Box. In other words, it's a one-stop shop.
And what is Property in the Box?
And in Property in the Box, if you watch this video, you will see that it starts with coaching, where I coach you and show you how to buy the right property, right place, right price.
Yep.
And then we actually go about acquiring the property for you, subject to your approval, of course.
Yes.
So basically, we buy an option for you for free, and we secure the property in your name, subject to you getting bond finance.
But before we buy the property, we put it through what we call the
due diligence,
the litmus test, the due diligence and the litmus test, which is a whole spreadsheet.
Yeah, our due diligence process includes the litmus test. Now, the litmus test is as a cash flow exercise, which gives us a go and no-go decision, like litmus paper. When you put it in water to see if it's acidic, it either goes red or green. So our litmus test gives you the green lights. You say, okay, financially it makes sense. It's the right type of property. We inspect the property, check the body corporate rules. So we do the due diligence for you, and then present it all to you.
Yes, and you can make.
And then once we've given you all the information, you've got 4 or 5 days to say, yes, I want to go ahead. If you want to go ahead, then you apply for your bond.
Yes.
And if you get your bond, then you buy the property. If you don't, if you say no to the property, or you don't get your finance, nothing is lost.
Yeah.
Doesn't cost you a cent. We don't charge you at all.
Okay. Just tell them as well about the coaching, because what happens is, what is so important here, and we've discovered this along the journey, is that people don't have a plan. And so Neil actually works with you on that, and he does property investment coaching. What does that entail?
Well, I think we've covered some of it already. The main thing is you need to buy the property yourself.
Yeah.
There are a lot of scams out there where they want you to put money into some sort of investment scheme and they buy the properties.
Okay.
With us, in fact, I insist that the property's in your own name, or your own company or whatever, but you own it.
Yes.
And then I stand alongside you and I coach you through the process. We help you find the right property, and in the process, I show you what to look for.
But just tell them more about the blueprint plan, the big picture now. Because we are not talking about buying properties here. This is about retirement, and there's like a package. And the important thing is, the question for you would be, okay, how much do you want to retire? What do you say to a person?
Well, I say in today's money, how much do you need? Assuming that you have paid your house off and you paid your car off and you're at retirement age and your kids are out of the house, how much would you need in today's money?
Yep.
And then I'll show you how to convert that into future money using property.
Sure.
But it's a bit of a process, but it's very quick and easy, very easy to understand. And then, so we remember I spoke to you about the P's. The 1 P is the planning.
Yes.
Now, you need to, when you start this property investment game, you need to know where you're headed. Because if you don't have a plan, if you're aiming at nothing, you're guaranteed to hit it every time.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a cliche, but it's true. So you need a plan, and you need to know how you're going to get there. So the item that is in the greatest demand here is bond finance.
Okay.
So we need to plan your portfolio around your bond finance.
It's kind of like Monopoly.
It's kind of Monopoly. You need a strategy.
The 4 greenhouses, then you get your hotel.
Yes.
No, I mean, it's like you're going to get these, and then you're going to say the red one, then you're retiring with the red one because it's giving you 20,000 rand a month in today's terms, and you say, well, I can live on 20,000, 25,000.
And remember, I said to you that as a first-time homeowner or buyer for the first property, you're going to get 104% bond.
Okay.
But for somebody who's buying their second, third, fourth property, they can get 100% bonds now.
Is it?
So they've got to come up with a 4%, which is a lot of money. It's like 50,000 rand, 40,000 rand per property.
Okay.
So that limits you somewhat. And you're going to be limited by how much cash you got.
Okay.
And you're going to be limited by how many bonds you can get. Before the bank says, look, we're not going to give you any more 100% bonds.
Just your personal opinion, okay? Because, what would you do if you're in a position where you were putting 5,000 or 3,000 rand a month in some retirement annuity? Would you rather keep doing that, or would you save it up and put it? What would you personally do? I mean,
you're asking me a very hot
question. What would you do with it?
Would I put money into a retirement annuity?
Yeah, would you personally put your money?
No.
What would you do? Would you take let's say you're putting 5,000 rand a month into retirement annuity. What would you do with it today? That's my question.
Firstly, I'd stop putting it in.
You'd stop it?
Yeah.
When, like immediately?
Yeah, I'd just stop it.
Immediately?
Yeah, today. Just don't pay again. They won't let you cancel it.
You can't? Okay. So you stop it, okay?
But you can stop paying in, and when you get to 55, you can get some of it back.
Okay. So
I don't like an investment where
they're locked in.
We're locked in forever, and the returns are awful. They're basically
okay.
You go and do your own sort of homework. Go and look on the websites. You go to any of the insurance company and look at retirement annuities, and you put the numbers in. You can actually see. In fact, we've got another video. Can we? I put another link to it. Remember that video I did where we compared retirement annuity to property.
Yeah, that's a good.
So video. I won't go through the whole story now, but I did a full comparison. I did the numbers.
Yeah, that's a very good video.
We were over there. I had a chart up, and I was. Yeah. It was a Facebook Live video.
So what would you do with the 5 grand a month now? 5,000 rand you're putting into savings or to annuity. You stopped it. Let's say you said you're going to. Would you stop it?
Yes, you'd stop it today.
Okay. What would you do now with that?
You obviously let the institution know you've stopped it.
Yeah.
And then what I do is I would put it into some sort of savings, and I don't know of any savings better than cryptocurrencies at the moment.
Okay.
And in fact, it's so good that there are times where I think, well, should I buy crypto or should I buy property?
Oh, yeah.
And I had to think about it for a while, and now I know what to do.
Well, that's another video.
There's another video, but basically the conclusion I've come to is when it comes to your own money, invest in crypto, where you're getting these massive returns.
If you got cash, meaning you're cash.
But again, it's something full of pitfalls.
Yes.
And we have a course coming out at the moment.
Okay.
I've prepared a course. It's kind of in the can, where I'm showing you how to invest in cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
Invest in the right ones. How to invest. How not to get scammed. How to physically do it. I mean, I taught my 86-year-old father.
Sure.
How to do it, and he sits there and he buys his own cryptocurrencies, and it's not trading. I'm not trying to teach you how to trade. That's how to lose money, but I show you how to actually be an investor, to invest in cryptocurrencies from A to Z.
Okay.
But there'll be a link probably up there or down there.
Yeah.
There'll be a link for our course in due course, and I would be spare cash now. I'd be putting into cryptocurrencies and build up a nest egg, and then I'd use that as to pay my deposits on properties that I buy.
Okay. Remember, properties is so powerful is because you're using other people's money to grow your seed. So your seed is, say, the 50,000. How much do you need to
about 40,000.
Okay, so that's the important. How much do you need to get your own property? All right, and it's not for free. Guess what? You pay 50,000 Rand for a property that's worth, say, 600.
650,000, yes.
All right, 50,000 Rand, that's what you're putting in. And then your tenant will pay off the bond you get your tenants to pay off. So it's 50,000
Rand. Your bond and your levy. So initially, in your first year, you can expect about between 1 and 1,500 Rand a month shortfall between the rental income and your costs. This is if you're getting an agency to look after it for you.
Yeah.
In other words, all your estate agents' fees, all your property management fees, the levies, the rates, and
so when do you break even as far as they say become cash flow positive?
About between 3 to 5 years.
Okay. All right.
So you'll be investing a small amount, but in that video I did where I compared the retirement annuity to thing, in that exercise it was 5 years before we broke even.
Okay. All right. So basically, that investment is going to be far less than the 5,000 Rand a month that you're putting in.
Far less, yes.
Far less, and your return is much greater.
Much greater.
All right, and so the only
it's
risk you have,
not even on the same scale.
What is the thing with occupancy? Because a lot of people say, what happens now? You lose your tenant now. What is the risk factor, percentage wise, occupancy rates?
Well, at
if
the
you're
moment,
buying in the right
we post COVID, the economy is in a bit of tatters.
Yeah.
There's blood in the streets. A lot of people lost their jobs, but they've sorted themselves out now. If people have a job, they're likely to be able to keep it, and people are really valuing their jobs now. You don't just flip around. So if you can find a tenant, they tend to be stable.
Yeah. Okay.
And so our vacancies have gone up a bit. We're finding in our portfolio vacancies of about, I think, 5%, 4 or 5%, whereas before it was 1%.
Okay, 5% out of 100. So that's 5 properties out of 100.
5 properties out of every 100 is standing empty at the moment.
So if you buy 100 properties, you might have 5 be empty for a month.
It's just terrible if you got 5 and your 5 are empty. So that's part of the coaching. I'll show you how to create a buffer for yourself and so on.
Yeah.
Because every year there is risk in property. But the biggest risk in property is not buying the property, because then you're guaranteed not to have that free property.
Yeah, yeah.
You see, so you're weighing up a month or two vacant to a free property.
All right. Okay.
Or a tenant damaging your property to a free property.
Okay.
Or close to free.
All right. I think that's kind of wraps it up. I think you've given us so much information.
I just want to see if there's anything I missed out.
All right. So if you want to get into property, you want to invest in property, and you want someone else to pay it off, just click the link. The link is in the description. The link will be above. You go and click the link, and you go into property in a box, and we describe everything there. You can then set up an appointment with Neil. It'll either be on Zoom or in his office in Sandton. Up to you, and then he will help you with the whole plan. In other words, how many properties you would need to be able to earn X amount. And
how much you can borrow. You look at your affordability. Even your credit check on you if you want to, so you can see how you can afford it.
Okay.
And then before we go, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to this channel.
Yep.
And there'll be a logo in the bottom corner. I'm not sure which one. Sort of here somewhere.
Okay.
Click on that and subscribe to this channel so you get more of this kind of content.
Yep.
And no video regarding money would be complete without what we hear on YouTube all the time.
Yes.
This is not financial advice.
Yeah.
Well, no, they don't say that. They say, I'm not a financial advisor.
I'm not a financial advisor.
Well,
We're just giving you our opinions.
The proof that I'm not a financial advisor is that if I was a financial advisor, I'd be advising you to buy a retirement annuity.
Yeah, no, that's
But
it.
I'm not one.
Yeah,
that's my
not
proof.
One. So there's
I'm
the
not
proof.
one. Okay, that's all for now. Thanks for listening. If you've listened this long, appreciate it.
Yeah,
and please forward this video to anybody that you think might benefit.